Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we have some more bad news for the SNP. Woohoo. It seems that they are losing the support of businesses everywhere, up and down the country. But what is particularly spectacular about this one is one of Scotland's most prominent businessmen is actually jumping ship and going to Alaba. He's saying he's had enough, fed up with the SNP, fed up with the anti-business rhetoric, fed up with them standing up for everything that is bad for businesses in Scotland. And he knows why they're doing it. It's all to do with the Greens. But he can no longer continue supporting them. And one presumes that also means supporting them financially, as is the want with rich businessmen and politics. And so he's going. He's not the first. He won't be the last. And it goes to show that this failure of a Scottish government, led by a failure of a leader, is soon headed for the dustbin of history. It cannot garner support. It's got falling membership numbers, and businesses are heading to the door faster than you can think. It is going to be a spectacular crash when it finally happens. And I don't think it's far off. I think certainly Humza Yousaf will be gone very, very soon. He's already unpopular within his own party. They've seen that they've bought a pup. They've got a pig in a poke, and they don't know how to get rid of him yet. But it seems the time is nigh. Let's take a look to see why, yet again, businesses are rushing to distance themselves and everyone is jumping ship. Here goes. Right, before we get into it, can I ask you do hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet done so. It really massively helps the channel, helps us grow, and it helps us bring stories like this to a wider audience. And, the more that this goes out, the more people know what's going on, the bigger the chance that the SNP will crash and burn as more and more people realise how awful they are. But anyway, a huge blow for Humza Yousaf, and not in a good way, as prominent businessman exits the SNP over its failure to stand up for the oil and gas industry. Well, they just a few years ago they were talking about an independent Scotland would be paid for by oil and gas, and now they're abandoning it because they're being told to by their green overlords. Perhaps Humza Yousaf should grow a pair of balls and tell the Greens to shut up and sit down, and if they don't want to stay in cabinet, please feel free to leave. They'll stay because, ka-ching. But you can't keep putting this policy, to the people. The people don't want it, and businesses don't want it. But it isn't just the oil and gas industry. We've seen it's all businesses. Businesses are dying on their feet because the Greens don't want growth. And if the Greens don't want something, then the SNP kiss the ring and kowtow and obey. That's really why Humza Yousaf's in the bad position he's in. But anyway, Highland businessman Steve Chisum has left the SNP after being a lifelong member in order to join Alex Salmond's Alaba party over concerns about his former party's position on the North Sea. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like their politics. Their politics has changed. He's been there all his life. He's like Fergus. He's been there his whole life, grown up in it. They've changed. Ever since adopting the Greens and becoming basically a subsidiary of the Green Party, it's alienated so many people. And now you've got people of influence, not just the normies like us, but you've got people of influence, people of power, people with money are going, do you know what, enough's enough, and they're heading to the door. And of course, as they go, not only are you losing the support of one man and one vote, but you're losing the support of all that money that was probably pouring into the coffers prior to it. That's gone. Alex Salmond will be more than happy to welcome Steve Chisum. Hi, come right in. There's my bank account details. And so it's just going to put the even more financial pressure onto the SNP. But beyond the financial side, you've just got the look, the optics of people leaving, especially high profile. It's not good. It reflects badly on Humza Yousaf personally. Now, I mentioned there that he's already unpopular within his own party. Indeed, there are whispers and stronger murmurs even now that he could be gone by Easter. This is how bad it is. He'll basically get a year and done. Yeah, one and done in terms of his time. He may not be leader for the next election. The plan is if they get rid of him at Easter, get Kate Forbes in, it gives Kate Forbes a bit of a run-up, establish herself, build a cabinet, build a name for herself, and run into the next election. And I think changing him out and putting someone else in is the only way that the SNP can short term survive. I think long term they're finished. I do see this now. Sure, they've got a lot of the weird, rolling eyes, mad supporters, but that's no good if they're not pumping money in, and they're not a £2 a month. They're not, and you've got all those overheads that still have to be paid for, and no businesses are putting money in. And if you lose a lot of MPs, that's all that ka-ching gone. They're going to go bankrupt. They're a million in the hole now. They're going to go bankrupt. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has been dealt a blow after a prominent Highlands businessman left the SNP due to its failure to stand up for the oil and gas industry. Steve Chisum even stood to be the party's candidate in Caithness, Sutherland and Easter Ross, Ian Blackford's seat, but lost out in the contest to Lucy Beattie. That would have hurt him as well, wouldn't it? Who knows? He's now sensationally quit the Nationalist in order to join the Labour Party and becomes the second high-profile businessman to defect in just the last couple of weeks. Doug Thompson joined Labour after he revealed he did not believe in the independents anymore, and that Nicola Sturgeon's deleted COVID WhatsApps were the final straw for him. Good. Well done, Doug Thompson, seeing the light and realising what these people are. They're crooks. A Highlands councillor also left Mr Yousaf's party in February, with Carl Rosey now sitting as an independent after saying he was deeply troubled by the policies being put forward by the leader. Well, he's not a leader, is he? He's just the one that sits in the big chair. He's waiting for the leader. He's keeping the seat warm for Kate. Dr Elisa Cameron became the most high-profile defector when she crossed the House of Commons to join the Tories, citing toxic behaviour within the nationalist group. And I don't think there's anyone who thinks that she's lying on that one. And then she went on actually to say about the threats to her life that she's had, and I hope the police were involved. Mr Chisum's departure to Alba will be a further sign that the business community do not trust the SNP-led Scottish Government amid a series of anti-business policies, including a refusal to hand over business rates relief and potentially punitive policies such as a ban on junk food sales. The businessman was heavily involved in the Highlands' successful bid for a Freeport, which is a joint initiative between Holyrood and Westminster, and he was previously a lifelong supporter of the SNP, but highlighted that its refusal to stand up for the oil and gas industry had caused him to leave. And he's not alone. There's lots of them. And it's one of those things where it's very silent. There's people sitting there with silently seething and they're angered. Now, imagine you're the boss of a company and you realise that this SNP policy is going to damage your company. What do? Well, if I was the boss of that company, I would explain. I'll get my workers in and I would explain, look, here's how it is. We're struggling. We need help. I need you all to work hard. We obviously will pay you and all that. But if this SNP government continues, I'm going to close the business. And then just leave it at that and walk away. And every one of those workers will have to go, ooh. And there'll be the few of the SNP voters going, I want to vote SNP. But if we get an SNP government, I'm out of a job. And that's all you need to do, isn't it? Just don't have to tell them to do anything. Just explain the policy. If we get another SNP government, I'm closing the business. Hey. Or at least I'm moving the business to England. Put it that way. Pay less tax. Anyway, Mr Yousaf's party have flip-flopped. Oh, God, have they ever? He's U-turned so many times. He's dizzy. Anyway, they flip-flopped on this policy numerous times over the past year, with the Nationalists calling on the windfall tax just a few years ago, before U-turning on this and attacking Labour for it. And in the last Scottish Government consultation about energy, a presumption against new North Sea oil fields was advised, and he's spoken out against Rosebank and Cambo. But he doesn't understand what oil is for. You see, these people are very stupid, and they just sort of associate oil with petrol. Oh, well, if we have electric cars, we don't need oil. And that's because these people are dim. I mean, literally, so stupid. He stands in a pair of boots, and the boots have got a higher IQ than he has. Anyway, Mr Chisum said, I'm a second-generation supporter of the party. It's something that's been with me since I was in primary school. And because of that, it's not easy to walk away. But it became slightly diluted, and it's not the single-purpose voice for independence it was a few years ago. I've joined Alba as it's a real opportunity to be part of an ambitious party. Well done. I'm going to leave that there. He's done. This is the problem. You've got you've got this leadership of a party. The party itself is toxic. It's chasing a wet dream of independence for which will never happen. That's all it obsesses over at the expense of everything else. And in doing so now, it's tying itself to the Greens, who are absolutely zero growth. They don't want growth. They don't want industry. And so all the businessmen are saying, screw you, and walking away. And as I say, when they're going, they're taking the folding with them. The SNP are in deep, deep shit. It's great, isn't it? Gonna come up. So there we go, the downfall slowly trickling. What begins as a few little bits of gravel tumbling down the hill will soon become a full-scale avalanche. It's going to take everything out. Humza will fall. He'll fall spectacularly, and it'll be very, very quick. There's 3 weeks until Easter. I couldn't guarantee he'd still be there. Come the 1st of April, 2nd of April, because that's first is a Monday, isn't it? Come the 2nd of April, it may be time. It may be time for a new leader in the SNP. I think too many people have had too much of this serial failure. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.